So Moses goes by the sea and he meets Al-Khidr. And Al-Khidr sees one boy and he takes him aside, puts him on the ground and kills him. And Moses said, "Now, what's wrong with you? Like, how could you kill someone?" All my life, I've studied theology. Amongst other things, I've lived in Hindu temples just to find out, what Hinduism is all about. And I was feeling it at that time, so I lived in a Hindu temple, and I was Hindu. And there was a time, I was born Christian. I explored Christianity. I explored Islam. I explored Buddhism. Why not? How will you ever understand what you're hating or what you're loving if you don't study it? In all religions teach love, tolerance, kindness. None of them teach hate per se. You can focus on tiny things in the Bible where it says kill this, kill that, and take it out of context. Or focus on things in the Quran where it says similar and take it out of context, not realizing it's describing something, an event, if you read it. It's describing an event. Knowledge is the killer of ignorance. If you're in doubt, study, for God's sakes. Don't just hate, don't use your energy. You only have so much energy, don't use it to hate. So I would like to invite all the Christians that are hating Islam to study Islam. And all the Muslims that are, they generally have to study. Because it's in Islam that you have to respect the Bible and the Torah. Now, you're seeing an influx of Muslims coming to Europe and people are scared. Oh, they're taking over. The culture and religion are two different things. But in order for the world to calm down, they need to study what they hate. That is my opinion. And I think it will help a lot of people understand our differences and avoid a lot of conflicts. So today I'm going to tell you a beautiful story from the Quran. My favorite story. It's the 18th chapter and the surah is Surah Al-Kahf, or the cave. But it's going to be, there's two stories in that surah, but it's going to be about Al-Khidr and Musa, or Moses. So the story goes, Moses was talking in front of a crowd and someone from the crowd asked him, "Oh Moses, are you the most knowledgeable person on earth?" And he thought a little bit and he said, "Yeah, I guess I am." And Allah, or God, told him, No, Moses, you're not. In fact, there is people more knowledgeable than you. Yes, you're a prophet, but I give knowledge to whom I want, and some people have parts of this knowledge, another person has a part of that knowledge. So he said, I'm gonna let you meet someone who has more knowledge than you, who's not famous, not a prophet, he's quiet, he's mystical, nobody knows about him, right? So he says, his name is Al-Khidr, and you're gonna meet him by the sea. But it's a long story, but I'm gonna shorten it for you. So Moses goes by the sea and he meets Al-Khidr. And Al-Khidr, and he says, I've been told you know more than me, and can I follow you? Can I see what you're doing so I may learn something? This is Moses asking this guy who we don't know about, who nobody's ever heard about, asking Al-Khidr, which shows you that there is people, they don't have to be prophets, that know a lot given from God, but they're mystical and quiet. A lot of them don't expose themselves. So Al-Khidr said to Moses, yes, you can come with me, but I have one thing to ask of you. He says, what is it? Do not ever ask me to explain what I'm doing, and do not ask me questions. And Moses said, okay, I won't. He says, because things that I may do may not make sense to you, so do not ask me any questions. Just come, follow me, and watch. Moses said, okay. So they need to now cross the sea, and there's a boat that's coming and the family on it that runs the boat. They recognize Al-Khidr. He was, a good friend or in that area, and they say, we will take you for free. We will do you a favor, take you across for free. And while they were traveling, a little bird landed and drank a little bit of water from the whole ocean. And Al-Khidr said to Moses, you see how much water that little bird in that little beak drank? And Moses said yes. And Al-Khidr said, you and I combined have as much knowledge as can fit, the water that can fit in that little beak. But God is the whole sea. And now we can imagine what God's knowledge is like. So they get to the other side of the shore, and Al-Khidr gets an axe when they weren't looking and start destroying parts of the ship. And Moses goes, are you crazy? What's going on? Like, why are you destroying the ship? They just did us a favor. This is a poor family, and you're destroying part of their ship? And Al-Khidr said to him, did I ask you not to ask me any questions? So if you want to continue with me, you have to have patience and do not ask me any questions. So Moses said, okay, fine, I apologize. I won't ask any more questions. So the next thing is they pass by kids who are playing. And Al-Khidr sees one boy and he takes him aside, puts him on the ground and kills him. And Moses said, now, what's wrong with you? Like, how could you kill someone? And Khidr said, I told you not to ask me any questions while I'm doing things. Just walk with me if you have patience. And if you ask me one more time, our journey is over. Moses said, fine. Even though he didn't understand why this guy destroyed that boat, why he killed the child, he said, okay, fine. So they come across this town, and this town is very Scroogey. Like, they needed water and shelter, and everybody in the town is like, no, get away. We don't want to basically be hospitable to you. And Al-Khidr, he saw a wall that was actually caving in, and he started repairing it for free, like repairing the wall. And Moses was just shaking his head, and he's like, now why are you doing this? They didn't help us, and now you're helping them. He said, I don't understand anything. And Al-Khidr said, okay, so our journey ends here. Now I'm going to interpret for you everything that happened. And he says to him, when I destroyed the boat, I knew that the king was coming to take all the boats that were in good working condition. And this family, they actually depend on this boat. And if they lose it, they have nothing. So at least now the boat won't be taken away and they can repair it after the king is gone. And Moses like, oh, I didn't know this. He said, see? Second, I killed that child, he said. That child was going to grow up to be a very, very evil person and bring a lot of hardship to his parents, who were very pious, very kind and good people. When I killed this child, God already made the woman conceive another child. And Moses was like, oh my God, I didn't know this. He says, and the third, when I started building the wall in the town that had refused us hospitality, is because there was a treasure buried under that wall. And if that wall had caved in, that treasure belonged to two orphans. A father had buried it. He passed away. He buried it for his orphans. He said, you saw how Scroogey those people were. They were going to take it. The children are still young. They will not be able to defend it. So I built a wall so it stands until they're grown, and they will find that treasure, and it will serve them well. And Moses was like, wow, I had no idea. He said, see, God gives knowledge to whom he wants and what he wants. So this is a beautiful story in that surah in the Quran, Al-Kahf, surah 18. And it just shows you that, yes, we do have prophets. I've talked about this before. There's other people who are like prophets who may be living today. You don't know. A lot of them don't talk about what they know. If you see people saying, oh, I'm an angel, those are crooks. Most of the time, crooks. Okay? So that's some mystical things in the Quran that I wanted to share with you. I found that story amazing.